Sajanam Sajanam Tam Sajivam Satvitam Sadam Vajanam Krishna Chaitanya Saranam Sajanam Vashishasam Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatkale Gopesha Gopakarana Taptakanjana Bhavani Radhe Radheshwari Vrivanse Brahmani Harite Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasindhu Vedacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna 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 Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishna Shrimati Bhakti Krishna Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurvani Prasharini Nirvishesha Shunyavani Tatsvachani. Now, we went to the first chapter and the first 20 verses of the second chapter. In the first chapter already we heard from Arjun's doubts. He gave mainly 5 reasons not to fight. That one reason is compassion. He did not want to kill his own relatives, his own guru, his grandfather. He brings up the argument that if I fight, I will not be able to enjoy. And I will incur sin. And the family tradition will be ruined. And in the beginning of the second chapter, then he gives a 5th reason, and thus it's indecision. He doesn't know anymore what to do. Says to Krishna, you are now my guru. And Krishna starts to instruct him. And start with chastising Arjuna. He's chastising him because he says, you are lamenting for what is not worth of lamenting for. Because one should not lament for the living, nor for the dead. And then he starts to give straight transcendental knowledge. Because Arjuna is lamenting, means the mode of ignorance. Lamentation is the mode of ignorance. And to get him out of this ignorance, Krishna starts to give him transcendental knowledge. He explains him, you are not a body, you are a spirit soul. His first instruction, after having explained that his lamentation was that of an ignorant man, not of a learned man, says to Arjuna, you are presenting yourself as a learned man, a pandit, but you are not a pandit. A pandit knows that one is an eternal spirit soul and not a temporal body. Because he says, you, all these kings, and me, Krishna says, we exist in the past, we are existing now, we will never cease to exist. But then in the next verse, Krishna says that unfortunately you have accepted a body. The soul has accepted the body as the self. So, yeah. So that is an important point. We accept the body because we want to enjoy, separate from Krishna. We want enjoyment. His desire for fruits. But by desiring the fruits of our activities, we accept bodies. So we accept bodies by our desire. Krishna consciousness means changing our desires. We will learn that in the Bhagavad Gita further on. Because it starts with cultivating the desire to reestablish one's relationship with Krishna by always thinking of Krishna. In the 12th chapter, Krishna will say, the best is always thinking of me. If you cannot do that, then follow the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga, because by this you will develop a desire to attain, desire. That's Bhakti Yoga is about changing our desire. That's desire to, from the desire to enjoy that matter, to the desire to enjoy spiritual bliss by serving Krishna. So we have accepted his body, and his body changes. Krishna says to Arjuna, your body changes. And it changes from baby body to youth, to adult, middle age, old age. And then you have to leave the body, and you have to tolerate all these changes. Then you have a dhira. Then you are on a spiritual platform, if you can tolerate it. And there Krishna gives the instructions how to tolerate. Matras Praskantyas Krishna Sakabhakara Agamapina Nityastans. You have to tolerate, like heat in the summer and cold in the winter, we tolerate. Because Krishna says, this happiness and this stress, it arises from sense perception. It goes with the body, not with the soul, and we tolerate it. Yamina Kritatante Purusham Purusham Samdaka Sukamdiram Shomi Tatvya Kalpati. If you can tolerate, Krishna says, then you are eligible for liberation. You can attain liberation. And go beyond it. If we cultivate Krishna consciousness. Now, in this first part until text 30, Krishna will give more information of the soul. Very important information. And after that, after text 30, Krishna will take again the position of one who is in the body concept of life. Interesting. He goes back. But he does that to address Arjuna's questions. Because Arjuna has put forward, I will not enjoy. So enjoyment is on the body concept of life. So Krishna goes back to the body concept of life and defeats his arguments. Defeats his argument that, and after that, he stays on the body concept of life and says, these are, if you fight, these are the advantages, these are the disadvantages. Advantages, you will get enjoyment, you go to the heavenly planet, and disadvantage is, if you don't fight, you will get dishonored, and it's worse than death. So that's a summary of what we will go through today. It's good to see these things in the context, that we know what's happening one after another. Because I remember when I was studying Bhagavad Gita, it took me a long long time to get this context and to understand how everything is connected, that sometimes we hear lectures and we hear one verse by verse. It's good, but you need also a feeling of the whole structure of the Gita, and where Krishna says what. If you know that structure, it's no problem to tell anyone what's the second chapter about. Understand the structure, and that's good to learn. If you learn that structure and you understand what Krishna says one after another, no deep for no, it's not required for memorization, but you understand this. If you understand the structure, what Krishna is saying one after another. We will start with text 20. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, Nachayate Michave Vakadachin Ayam Bhutva Bhaktavana Bhuyaha Ayo Nitya Sastoyam Purano Nahaniti Hanyamani Shavire. For the soul is neither birth nor death at any time. He has not come into being, does not come into being, and will not come into being. He is unborn, eternal, ever-existent, and primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain. So Arjuna had made that argument. That's, I cannot kill Bhishmadev. I don't want to do it. And that, although Acharya, my teacher, but Krishna explains it, you don't kill anyone. You think you are killing someone, but in actuality you make them change their bodies. And Bhishmadeva is now an old body. And by your jahya as a Kshatriya, if you kill Bhishmadeva, you will get a new body. That's not a cause for lamentation, that's a cause for happiness. Because his body is all old and useless. Now he gets a new body. That it's another vision when you understand we are the soul. That, of course, that does not mean that anyone can kill anyone. That's another thing. Yes. But he was in the position of a Kshatriya. It was his duty. Also in the purport here, Srila Prabhupada says the body goes through 6 changes. Interesting to see these changes. Take birth, and then it goes growing, and then it maintains for some time, then it's going backwards, and then finally you leave the body. You have to leave it. So that is something to be very conscious of. We are going through these changes. When you get older, you see, you go to the doctor. I experienced this 3 years recently, and you get some defects here and there in the bones, and say, yes, it's old age, nothing we can do. So you learn, nothing we can do. It's going to the end one day. Because that's also important to learn, that we learn to understand that we are not this body. And because as long as we think we are this body, and something goes wrong with the body, we start lamenting. And if some sense gratification comes, we feel happy. But that's also an illusion. Yeah, I got this today, that this is a story of Manisha Dasi. November 11, 1976, this was in Vrindavan. So she was Manishi, she was terminally ill with leukemia. And she went to see Srila Prabhupada, Vrindavan. That's just a few months. She had a few months to live. She came to the Holy Dham to leave her body. And she requested, I will read it. They requested the darshan with Srila Prabhupada, and he received them this morning just before his massage. When they came in, Manisa burst into tears as they explained her condition and prognosis. She is frightened by the prospect of imminent death and is clearly not mentally prepared for it. Despite the girl's weeping, however, Srila Prabhupada was firm and spoke rather strongly, focusing on the reality of her condition, rather than offering sympathies with some sentimental, body-based words of solace. Srila Prabhupada cut through the fear and doubt shrouding his disciples' mind and intelligence and met the problem head on. Everyone is going to die, he said. Who is going to live? Who is here? Can you show me anyone who is going to live? Can you show me? Antardhyan shook her head. No, everyone is going to die. So today or tomorrow, everyone will die, Srila Prabhupada affirmed. So where is the anxiety? Die or not die, tomorrow or today? But one should chant Hare Krishna, that's all. Why one should be depressed? And everyone is going to die. I'm going to die tomorrow. He's going to die after tomorrow. Everyone will have to die. Who will live here? So what is the anxiety? Chant, that's all. Jagadish told Srila Prabhupada that she had come to die in Vrindavan. Nobody will live, Prabhupada repeated. Don't be in anxiety, that's all. Anyone who has come to this material world will die. One is going to die today. Another is going to die tomorrow. It's a question of first and second. But everyone will die. So before that, one should be complete in Krishna consciousness. That is success of life. The tree is standing for thousands of years. So what's the use of living like that? A tree cannot chant Hare Krishna but lives for thousands of years. Do you think that kind of living is very worthy? Standing in one place, cannot move even, and what to speak of chanting? So you have got a chance to chant Hare Krishna. Utilize that. Don't be anxious that I'm going to die. Who is going to live? Why don't you understand that? Nobody is going to live. So before death, one should be completely in Krishna consciousness. That is success. Prabhupada's direct and practical words helped Manisha focus. She stopped sobbing and regained her composure. But still she had fear. But if one is not, Srila Prabhupada, but what will happen? Prabhupada didn't quite understand her query, and I repeated it. If one is not complete in their Krishna consciousness, then what will happen? She will get again birth in a human body, he assured her. That is guaranteed. So she'll get again a chance to chant, of chanting. That is also great. And it continues like that. But you see the parallel here with Krishna chastising Arjuna, and here Srila Prabhupada with Manisha Das, who is going to leave her body, it also, it cuts through her illusions very clearly. That text 21. O Bhakt, how can a person who knows that the soul is indestructible, eternal, unborn, and immutable kill anyone or cause anyone to kill? So that's again the same point. It says, you think you are killing, but you can kill the soul, the person. Was Socrates. Socrates was condemned to die, to be poisoned with hemlock, a very poisonous substance. And they were asking him, where would you like to be buried? It says, Socrates said, you can bury me, but first you have to find me. So he understood that he was different from the body, that you can't bury a soul, it's not possible. But still, Krishna is urging Arjuna, you have to fight. So you have to commit violence. In the Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada says, right, violence as its utility. And one who is in knowledge, he knows when and where to apply violence. That when Krishna orders fighting, then violence is for supreme justice. And Arjuna should follow this instruction with full knowledge. So if one acts in that full knowledge, then there is no reaction. Krishna consciousness is acting in full knowledge, then there is no reaction. Full knowledge means I'm spirit soul, not a body. And I'm not acting for the benefit of my body, to get enjoyment of the body. Then there is no reaction. That's called acting out of duty. But if one acts and one is attached to the fruits, karma comes. Immediately, karma comes, birth, death, old age, disease, accepting bodies, the whole thing comes. So Krishna consciousness is cultivating the desire to act for Krishna, not for the pleasures of the body. Because we will learn further that we desire pleasure for the body, but the desire for pleasure is a source of misery. That's a very heavy truth. I try to enjoy it, but it's a source of misery. That's what Krishna says, that some will have to experience it before. But better than experience it. We experience it all, in fact, constantly. But by going Krishna conscious, we start acting knowledge, and we get out of that cycle. Text 22. First on 21, I will read a quote from Srila Prabhupada. Respond Baladev to the Bhushan. Arjuna may think, granting that the soul does not die, still the bodies of the man called Bhishma and others are going to be destroyed in the battle. That is wrong because it will improperly deprive them of the happiness they derive from their bodies. Krishna explains that to Arjuna the fault of the logic in the next verse. Now, this is not a quote that I think this is. Krishna is always our friend, not our friend. I think in this text 21. Okay. Just checking. Yeah. Srila Prabhupada speaks about different friends. Krishna is always our friend, not our friend. That is stated in Bhagavad Gita. Suridam Sarvabhutanam. Suridam means Surit. There are different kinds of friends, but here in the Sanskrit, for different kinds of friends there are different names. Just like one friend is called Bandhu, one is called Mitra, and one is called Surit. I don't see that in the Sanskrit here. In this quote may not be connected to the right verse. Anyway, we go to 22. As a person puts on new garments, giving up old ones, the soul similarly accepts new material bodies, giving up the old and useless ones. That I will read a part of the purport, the second and the third paragraph. Transference of the atomic soul to another body is made possible by the grace of the supersoul. The supersoul fulfills the desire of the atomic soul as one friend fulfills the desire of another. The Vedas, like the Mundaka Upanishad as well as the Svetasvatara Upanishad, compare the soul and the supersoul to two friendly birds sitting on the same tree. One of the birds, the individual atomic soul, is eating the fruit of the tree, and the other bird, Krishna, is simply watching his friends. Of these two birds, although they are the same in quality, one is captivated by the fruits of the material tree, while the other is simply witnessing the activities of his friend. Krishna is a witnessing bird, and Arjuna is eating bird. Although they are friends, one is still the master and the other is a servant. Forgetfulness of this relationship by the atomic soul is the cause of one's changing its position from one tree to another, or from one body to another. The Jiva soul is struggling very hard on the tree of the material body, but as soon as he agrees to accept the other bird as the supreme spiritual master, as Arjuna agreed to do by voluntary surrender and to Krishna's instruction, the subordinate bird immediately becomes free from all lamentations. Both the Mundaka Upanishad and the Svetasvatara Upanishad confirms this. Although the two birds are in the same tree, the eating bird is fully engrossed with anxiety and moroseness as the enjoyer of the fruits of the tree. But in some way or another he turns his face to his friend, the Lord, and the Lord, and knows his glories. At once the suffering bird becomes free from all anxieties. Arjuna has now turned his face towards his eternal friend Krishna, and is understanding the Bhagavad Gita from him. And thus, hearing from Krishna, he can understand the supreme glories of the Lord and be free from lamentation. So this analogy, it's good to remember this analogy. It's coming from the Mundaka Upanishad, but it's also mentioned in the Svetasvatara Upanishad of the two birds in a tree. The tree is the body, and the two birds is the soul and the super soul in the heart. And the soul who desires enjoyment, is enjoying the fruits of his labor. And Krishna is waiting in the heart until the soul turns to Krishna, recognize that he's doing the doer in this world. So these two birds in the material body, it's text 22. Srila Prabhupada refers to that in a lecture in London, 1973. It is very clear Krishna knows your desire. And if you still want to enjoy this material world, Krishna says, all right, enjoy. So for different kinds of mundane enjoyment, we require different kinds of bodies. So Krishna prepares you. He's so kind. Just like a father gives a toy to a child. The child wants a motor car. Oh, alright, you take a toy motor car. He wants an engine, he wants to become a railwayman. Similarly, Krishna supplies these toys, or these toy bodies. Yantra. Yantra means machine. This is a machine, everyone understands that this is a machine, but who has supplied the machine? The machine is supplied by nature, material ingredients, but it is prepared under the order of Krishna, which is in our heart. The Supreme Director, Krishna, is sitting there and is directing. Now this living entity wants to fulfill his desire in this way, he is giving direction to material nature. Give the toy. Prepare a vehicle, a body, for this rascal in this way. He wants to enjoy, all right, let him enjoy. We are all rascals. We are manufacturing our different ways of life, but we cannot fulfill our desires without sanction of God. Because we are persisting that I want to fulfill my desire in this way, Krishna sanctions it. Just like a child persists in wanting something, and the Father gives it. So we get all these bodies by the sanction of the Supreme Lord. But he sanctions with reluctance, saying, why does this rascal want this? This is our position. Therefore, at last Krishna says, Sarvadhamam Pritya, give up this rascaldom. I want this body, I want that body, I want to enjoy life in this way, give up all this nonsense. That's, yeah. Now, the text 23. The soul can never be cut to pieces by any weapon, nor burned by fire, nor moistened by water, nor withered by the wind. So here, that Krishna says to Arjuna, you want to kill, you think you are going to kill all of them, but with all the weapons you have in your chariot, so Arjuna got different weapons, not only his Gandiva bow, the fire weapon, water weapon, but any weapon you have, you cannot kill the soul, it's not possible. You cannot cut it into pieces. That's important, because in this verse it's clearly said you cannot cut it into pieces. But the Mayavadis think they will merge with the Supreme Brahman. There is no question of merging with the Supreme Brahman, because it cannot be cut, it cannot dissolve, it cannot. It's like a green parrot flying in the green foliage of a tree, and the parrot flies into it and is sitting in the tree, and you don't see it, it's all green, but it's still there, although you cannot see him. So the idea of the Mayavadis that one becomes one with Brahman, it's just not supported by Krishna here. It cannot be, it's unchangeable. That cannot be killed by any weapon. 24. The individual soul is unbreakable and insoluble, and can be neither burned nor dried. It's everlasting, present everywhere, unchangeable, immovable, and eternally the same. So it's always this atomic particle, which is described as 1/10,000 of a tip of a hair. Atomic. And the soul is by nature free from all material contamination. But the problem is that a symptom of the soul is consciousness. And the consciousness becomes contaminated by the modes of material nature. Passion, and ignorance. And that influences the soul. And by that, this desire to enjoy develop, are fortified. But when the living entity is in pure consciousness, there is no trace of selfish desire. That selfish desire is related to the body. It's complete selflessness, just giving enjoyment, acting for the enjoyment of Krishna, not for the body. It's 24. Srila Prabhupada in New York. If I take a drop of opium, I will die, because it is impossible for me to eat opium and live. You cannot say that there cannot be living entities there. Similarly, you have experienced that you cannot live in fire. That does not mean that in the sun planet there are no living entities. There are living entities, because in Bhagavad Gita you will find that the living soul as it is not burned by fire, because it's spiritual. The material element has no power to destroy it. It is not burned by fire. So it is concluded that on every planet there are living entities. You get a body according to the planet where you live. Our planet is covered for 80% of water. Your body is made of 80% of water. Very interesting. But the sun planet is practically, there's no water. Living entities are living there, and they have a fire body. Different body according to the planet. Yesterday, Srila Prabhupada says here, we learned from Bhagavad Gita that the soul's position is sarvagata. The soul has the freedom to go anywhere. Those who are spiritual advanced by yogic mystic power can also move anywhere they like. Anima, Lagima, Siddhi. Lagima, Siddhi, yeah. There are still yogis in India who early in the morning take a bath in the 4 dhams, Hardwar, Charnapuri, Rameshwar and Dwarka. Probably they are still there today. Within 1 hour, they take a bath in 4 places. Sarvagata, the speed. They'll sit down in one place by the yogic process. Within a few minutes, they will get up and dip in this water. Suppose in London, you take your dip in the river Thames. And when you get up, you see the Calcutta Ganges. There is yogic process like that, Sarvagata. So the spirit soul has so much freedom, Sarvagata, to go anywhere he likes. By our impediment, but our impediment is this body, which curtails our freedom. So if you cannot get rid of this material body and be situated in the spiritual body, maybe just like Narad Muni, who can move anywhere. He's moving, his business is moving. Sometimes he's going to Vaikuntha and sometimes he's coming to this material loka. He has a spiritual body, he's free to move anywhere and everywhere, anywhere. Like a spaceman who are trying to travel in space by machines. There is no necessity for machines. Yantra Rudani Maya. The machine is made of Maya. But you have your own power, which is very speedy, but is being curtailed. Therefore, one should be careful how to get the soul out of the engagement of this material body. That should be our first concern. But those who are simply concerned with this body are no better than the animals, cows and asses. Saiva Gokara, that's a verse of the 10th canto of the Ram. But there are powerful yogis who elevate themselves to higher planetary systems. Before going to the spiritual world, they want to see the higher planetary systems, how it works. That is just like visitors and tourists traveling here and there out of curiosity. You should not have such ambition. Your endeavor should be to go back to Godhead, to Krishna. So, the Prabhupada says, don't be like a tourist trying to see the higher planetary systems or trying for higher enjoyment. No, just get out of it. In this lecture, Srila Prabhupada says that the subtle is more powerful than the gross. That when we leave this body, and we are not yet liberated, then according to the consciousness of our subtle body, the super soul brings it to a next destination. So this subtle body is very powerful. It goes straight to the wall, because it's made of, we will learn in the 7th chapter, that it's made of mind, intelligence and false ego, which is finer than earth, air, water, fire and ether, which is matter. It's finer, it goes straight. That, so if you have a subtle body, you can walk to the wall. And you can travel at the mind of speed, the speed of mind. So demigods have a subtle body. They can travel at the speed of mind. And Lord Brahma has a causal body. It's made of intelligence, more powerful, more flying. The most powerful body is the spiritual body. And we have all the spiritual body. It's just covered over by this gross and subtle body. Text 25, just read the verse. It is said that the soul is invisible, inconceivable, and immutable. Knowing this, you should not grieve for the body. Text 26. If, however, you think that the soul or the symptoms of life will always be born and die forever, you still have no reason to lament, O mighty aunt. Yeah, so that Krishna takes here an atheist position. He says, if you don't believe in the soul, then there is certainly no reason to lament, because you are just a bunch of chemicals. It comes into being, and then the chemicals go back to their origin, so what's the use? But why should you lament? It's just chemicals. That Srila Prabhupada speaks about that. Verse 6, 26, 25. Did we read? Yeah. That was 25. 20, no, I read 26. 26. I will read the second paragraph. Even if Arjuna did not believe in the existence of the soul, as in the Vaibhasika philosophy, there would still have no cause for lamentation. No one laments to the loss of a certain bulk of chemicals and stops discharging his prescribed duty. On the other hand, in modern science and scientific warfare, so many tons of chemicals are wasted for achieving victory over the enemy. According to the Vaibhasika philosophy, the so-called soul or Atma vanishes along with the deterioration of the body. So in any case, whether Arjuna accepted the very conclusion that here is an atomic soul, or he did not believe in the existence of the soul, he had no reason to lament. According to his theory, since there are so many living entities generating out of matter every moment, and so many of them are being vanquished every moment, there is no need to grieve for the incidents. If there were no rebirth for the soul, Arjuna has no reason to be afraid or being affected by sinful reactions due to his killing his grandfather and grandteacher. But at the same time, Krishna sarcastically addressed Arjuna as Mahabhahu, mighty arm, because he at least did not accept the theory of the Vaibhasikas, but leaves aside Vedic wisdom. As a Kshatriya, Arjuna belonged to the Vedic culture, and it behooved him to continue to follow its principles. These are very deep insights But interesting is that Krishna addresses the problem from different angles of view. It's that Vibhasya theory. So, this is in London 1973. Krishna is putting forward the modern scientific view that there is no soul. Life is generated from matter. By a combination of material elements, chemical combination. You can mix acid, soda, alkaline. There will be some reaction, effervescence, movement. Similarly, Buddhist philosophy mostly does not believe in the existence of the soul. The Buddhist philosopher thinks that the combination of matter makes a living symptom. Their ultimate goal is nirvana. Nirvana means stop this combination. Due to this combination we feel pain and pleasure. Therefore, if we disintegrate the combination, there will be no more pains and pleasures. Suppose this house is a combination of material elements. It is dismantled. Who laments for it? No sane man will lament. Similarly, if you have no idea of the existence of the soul, then also you need not to lament. So, also that's the modern views. You have those who are in favor of abortion, that think abortion is just, you remove the tissue, that it's matter. They don't see it as a living entity. In fact, it's pure murder. But just for, they create these rules of morality. It's just chemicals removing of the tissue. So, yeah, we explained that. 27 now. 27. Yeah. One who has taken his birth is sure to die. And one is sure to take birth. And after death, one is sure to take birth again. Therefore, in the unavoidable discharge of your duty, you should not lament. It's so amazing that the thing we know for sure in our lives, we are going to die. But then, when the relatives die, we start to lament. But we know it. It's the surest thing in the world. We know it, but then we start to lament. That this lamentation is pure ignorance. That a person with spiritual advance will not know. He sees this person gets a new body. That's good. But a material body, or for the words, a spiritual body, it's not a cause of lamentation. It's a cause for happiness. That 27. So this also, one takes birth according to one's karma. That so at the time of birth, your karma is there. The amount of happiness you will get in your life is there. The amount of distress you will get, it's predestined. You cannot change that. But still people are striving for happiness. They try to change. And maybe you can change it a little. If you are not destined to be rich, yeah, and you have a job, you can take a second job and work at night also. And you will get something, but you will suffer a lot. You will have to work very hard. Instead of using our times uselessly for such an endeavor, it's better to use our life for making spiritual advancement and accept our situation of arrangement of Krishna and tolerate it. Not lament. The Pandavas, they underwent so many difficulties. Did they say to Krishna, "Oh, you are Supreme Personality of Godhead, why are we suffering?" No. They accepted it as the will of Krishna. Of course, the Pandavas, they did not get karma like ordinary people. It was the will of Krishna. But we do get this karma. So the battle of Kurukshetra was an inevitable event. So Arjuna should simply perform his duty as a Kshatriya and fight for the right cause. If Arjuna refused to fight, he would be neglecting his duty and would be degraded and subjected to sinful reactions. Srila Prabhupada, 27. Yeah. Right. That's a long quote. We'll read the next one, 28. All created beings are unmanifest in their beginning, manifest in their interim state, and unmanifest again when annihilated. So what is the need? Need is there for lamentation. So Krishna says all living entities have a beginning and an end. So what's the use to lament? That it's all temporary. Why lamenting for something temporary? It's 28. So there is another theory, voidism. So this is the voidism. Before there was nothing, and afterwards there is nothing. So what exists between is temporary. So why worry about it? There is another theory, voidism, which states that before this manifested light there was void, and after this manifestation there will again be void. Krishna puts forward the argument that before this manifestation, before this manifested form of light there was void, and after this manifested light there will be void again, according to the voidist philosophy. Then, where is the cause of lamentation? For example, here is some vacant land. By combining some bricks and stones and wood, you can build a skyscraper building, and then you dismantle this. It becomes vacant land again. Similarly, in the beginning there was vacant land, and after finishing this building, there will be vacant land again. So, why do people lament? No, 29. This is the amazing verse. And you can look from it from different angles. Acharyavat pasashika chittenam, acharyavat vadanti tataiket sanya, acharyavat sheman anyar srinati, shukvabhyanam vida nacheva kachit. Some look on the soul as amazing, and some describe him as amazing, and some hear of him as amazing, while others, even after hearing about him, cannot understand him at all. It's not easy to understand. You see an elephant, and you have this atomic soul in the elephant, and it's a big animal, and then you see a germ, and the same soul is in the germ. That it's very bewildering. So, I'm going to read just a few lines from the purport. The fact that the atomic soul is within the body of a gigantic animal, in the body of a gigantic banyan tree, and also in the microbic germs, millions and billions of which occupy only an inch of space, is certainly very amazing. Man with a poor fund of knowledge and man who are not austere cannot understand the wonders of the individual atomic spark of spirit, even though it is explained by the greatest authority of knowledge. who imparted lessons even to Brahma, the first living being of the universe. So it's some persons, they have knowledge of the soul, but still they don't understand the real nature of the soul. The soul, and within the heart of the soul, is the super soul. There are two souls, and they are different. And monist thinks it's all one. Srila Prabhupada writes, some persons have knowledge of the soul, but misunderstand that the soul and the super soul are one. It is a rare person who actually understands that the position of the soul, the super soul, and their relationship. Even rarer is one who has actually realized this knowledge. So that's an important teaching of the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna will repeat that many times. Sarvasi Samri Krishna Vishnu Natasmiti Hanam Upamsa. This verse 15:15, where Krishna says, I'm in the heart of every living entity, and for me comes remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. So whatever you remember, whatever you forget, whatever knowledge you have, it's coming from Krishna. Krishna will also say in the 18th chapter that I'm seated in everyone's heart, who is of the living entity, who is seated as on a machine made of material energy, a yantra, but the super soul is controlling material nature, and the soul is only desire. So the super soul fulfills the desires of the soul by instructing material nature. And this instruction is done according to one's karma. But that's knowledge, knowing the difference between the soul and the super soul. That is explained in the 13th chapter. That's one of the 6 subjects about the Kshetra, the Kshetrajya, Jnanam, Jnanam. Jnanam is the super soul. Then what's real knowledge? So that's all explained later in the 13th chapter. But to understand that, one must be austere. One is qualified by penance and sacrifice. Like we are following the 4 regulative principles. If you are not following the 4 regulative principles, you cannot come to understand it. You can understand it externally, theoretically, but you will not get the realization. One must be austere, because others, one's conscience is influenced by lust, and one identifies with the body. Because this is nice theory, but then how to realize that? That will be the next point. How to realize that is acting as a spirit soul, and not as the body. It means acting without attachment to the fruits. That's the first step we will learn in that term. Okay. Now we have text 30. For the son of Bharat, he who dwells in the body can never be slain. Therefore, you need not to grieve for any living entity. Now we have next section. Krishna will take now a different approach. He will take the approach that I'm the body again. So, because first he has explained about the spirit soul and the spiritual perspective. Now he's going back to the material perspective, or the angle that we are the body again. And it does that mainly to defeat Arjuna's arguments that I will not get enjoyment. I will get the opposite from what I desire. These were our arguments. Because after this section, next lesson, next time, we will see at text 40. Then Krishna will say, now I've explained the soul in terms of Sankhya, or analytical study of the soul. Now I will explain it how to realize that in terms of acting without being attached to the fruitive results. And the first thing Krishna will say after this section is, he condemns again this karma kanda, or this bodhi conception. He said, I told you that all these things now, but he condemns it. He said, you have to transcend the three modes of nature and come above this acting for the fruits or for the body. You have to give it up. You have to transcend the three Vedas, because three Vedas are about how to enjoy. Most part, 80% of the Vedic literature is about karma kanda, how to enjoy. So one can say, why is that? Why do the Vedas not straight explain we are a spirit soul and give everything up? Well, Srila Prabhupada explains it. Well, in that time, that was very popular. You buy somewhere a tape recorder. They didn't have MP3s at that time. Tape recorder. That's quite a big machine at that time. You buy a tape recorder and you get a manual how to use it. Oh, this button here, and that. The Vedas are like that. The spirit soul comes to the material world to enjoy. Want to enjoy? Krishna gives the manual, the Vedas, how to enjoy in a religious way. But the confidential knowledge is not explained in this karma kanda, because that's confidential knowledge, how to get liberation back to the spiritual world. It's confidential, especially Krishna consciousness. And Krishna will say that from the 7th chapter on, because here, in the 3rd chapter already, he will say, we are I'm above the three modes of nature. I'm above the modes of passion, ignorance, and goodness, and nobody knows me. So you find that in 6-7 verses in the Gita, Krishna complaining, no one knows me. And even up to the 10th chapter, Krishna repeats that, nobody knows me. So that's our disease, we all forget Krishna, nobody knows me. But then, from the 7th chapter on, where there's the beginning of the middle part, Krishna is going to tell how to know him. And that's confidential. He says that to Arjuna, I tell this to you because you are my friend and my devotee. That's a qualification to get that knowledge. So, I read the summary of this chapter. The second part we are discussing now. We have to go to the next chart. So, in the first part, karma kanda, this bodhi concept of life, and that goes on. That goes on till nearly the end of the section, and then Krishna will point out the benefits, the profit, and the distress that's going together with that karma kanda. That body concepts means duality. What's good for the body, what's bad for the body, duality. And profit calculation, profit for the body. Most people, profit calculation in this world, they will not act without knowing the profit of their act. That's the business world. We are here to do business, but we have to come to the highest business investment. Highest business investment is give up acting for the body, but for the pleasure of Krishna, and you get the highest result. That's the best investment. That will be the conclusion, text 40. But Krishna will start to explain the real investment. Notice. So after defeating Arjuna's argument, by knowledge of the eternality of the soul, Krishna now takes a different approach. Even if Arjuna identifies with the body, body identification. By fighting as a Kshatriya, he will be happy. Krishna thus refers to karma kanda, teaching to primarily defeat Arjuna's argument of enjoyment. That's why Krishna tells it. It's defeating that argument, because here it is it's defeating his argument for enjoyment. That and he's telling, as a Kshatriya, you will be happy. But after text 40, Krishna will say, don't go for this happiness. That's wrong. Give it up. Give it up. I will teach you now Buddha Yoga, Krishna consciousness. The real thing. That they will condemn it. But it is going into it to defeat Arjuna's arguments, because otherwise you cannot defeat arguments which are on a bodily platform. You have to defeat it on a bodily platform. Krishna explains that if Arjuna fights, he will enjoy it, but if he does not, he'll get sinful reactions and infamy. So, as a result, enjoyment, profit, or you get dishonor, infamy. Krishna also touches on Arjuna's arguments of compassion and fear of sinful reactions. That, because that was his point. If I fight, then I'm just recapping the point that he made in the first chapter. Because Arjuna said, when I fight and I kill my relatives, I will get sinful reactions. Because Shastra says, yes, you can kill 6 aggressors, that's right, and there Arjuna takes the position of a scholar. He says, but Dharma Shastra is higher than Artha Shastra. And Dharma Shastra says if you kill relatives, you will get heavy reactions. So I will get sin. Why should I fight? But that's all his Dharma Shastra is all meant to regulate the material svadharmas, the material duties. But we will learn that one who is on the spiritual svadharma and acts to please Krishna, there is no question of sinful reactions. But even if one acts on the material svadharma, then Krishna will say you are a Kshatriya. If a Kshatriya fights as his duty, there is no reaction involved. That we will learn more about that. So Krishna touches on arguments of compassion and fear of simple reaction. Yeah. And so Krishna will explain to Arjuna what he will gain when he fights as a Kshatriya. Text 31. 31, the text starts with Svadharma. And Srila Prabhupada will speak about Svadharma in the purport. It's good to understand what Svadharma is. One's own religious principles, it's clear. Considering your specific duty as a Kshatriya, you should know that there is no better engagement for you than fighting on religious principle. And so there is no need for hesitation. So in the purport, the second paragraph, it's the last paragraph. There are two kinds of Svadharma, specific duties. It's important to note that very carefully. Two Svadharmas. So, as long as one is not liberated, one has to perform duties of his particular body in accordance with religious principles in order to achieve liberation. So what's said here, if you are not yet on the spiritual platform, acting out for just acting for Krishna, but you act on the platform that I want the fruits, then you must do your specific duties according to your psycho-physical situation. You have duties and you have to perform them with the purpose to achieve liberation. It's through karma yoga. You can get rid of this desire to enjoy. You become purified from that desire, karma yoga. But if you are still attached to the fruits, we do our material svadharma. Material svadharma for a Kshatriya is fighting, is maintain order, protect others. That's his duty. Duty of a policeman, duty of a soldier, some Vaishyas have other duties, and Sudras have other duties, is giving service to the other classes. The Vaishyas feed everyone, and they are doing business, so their duty is business. So that's material svadharma. But one must perform this svadharma to get liberation. That's important. That in the Bhagavad Gita it said that when one performs one occupational duties and is not becoming attracted to Krishna by doing it, it's useless. So that doing one's material svadharma means doing it and at least giving with the intention to give the result to Krishna, even if you are attached to Krishna. Attached to the results, to the fruits. So you are working because you want your salary. Then you do it because you want a salary, and then use your salary to please Krishna. But only by doing that, you become purified. You become purified in heart. Your desire changes. So that's how we act from the material svadharma to purify us, and finally we come to liberation. That's the principle of karma yoga, which we'll explain further. In the Vedic conception of life, there are specific duties for the Brahmanas and Kshatriyas respectively, and these duties are unavoidable. Such svadharma is ordained by the Lord And this will be clarified in the 4th chapter. On the body planes dharma is called Varnashram Dharma, or man's stepping stone for spiritual understanding. Human civilization begins from the stage of Varnashram Dharma, specific duties in terms of the specific modes of nature of the body obtained. Discharging one's specific duty in any field of action in accordance with the orders of higher authorities serves to elevate one to the highest state of life. So violence performed by Kshatriyas on the battlefield is as beneficial as sacrifices performed by Brahmins on the sacrificial altar. So the Brahmin, they do perform sacrifices, and they make oblations of ghee with their spoon in the fire, svaha. That's their sacrifice. So for a Kshatriya, the sacrifice is to fight out of duty for pleasing the Supreme Person. So that's their sacrifice. That a Sudra, he performs service to all the other classes, and this performance of service, that's his sacrifice. He has to learn to do it to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and not for profit. But when I was in Munich a few weeks ago, and I met a god brother and his legs are completely paralyzed, and he's sitting in a wheelchair. And he got government support like 15 years ago, not so long, maybe 10 years ago. And then he received initiation from my Guru Maharaj. And the spiritual master instructed him, you should work, not live on the cost of the government. You should work. You are paralyzed, but you should strive to work. And he started to follow that instruction, and he got an offer for a job, but he's paralyzed, so he needs also medical treatment at work and so on. And he got, and the payment for 1 month work would be €59. So he called his spiritual master and said, yeah, I have an offer here, €59. And the spiritual master said, yes, do it. It's not the payment that is important. You do it out of duty for Krishna, and then all auspiciousness will come. And he started to do that, and he said, from the moment I did that, then all authorizations that I wanted were coming automatically from the government, and that he got, then after working for a few years like that, he started his own business, an internet shop. Then he got an internet shop, and then he started to sell kind of Indian foods, one little rack with food, dried food, and then that expanded in money, and now he has a big shop and an internet shop, and he's doing that for many years. He's doing that for many years, and there were journalists came from the television and another magazine to interview him. You are completely paralyzed. How are you doing that? And he told the story of the instruction of the spiritual master, and that So it's not a payment which is important, but it's our inner attitude with which we do it, and then it becomes a sacrifice. And the third chapter next chapter will be about sacrifice. Life is meant for sacrifice for Krishna. We tolerate everything, good and bad, and we do our sacrifice, and that will make us great. We'll cultivate character, so many things. All auspiciousness will come. Text 32. O Parth, happy are the Kshatriyas to whom such fighting opportunities come unsought, opening for them the doors of the heavenly planets. Yeah. So here Krishna says you will go to the heavenly planets if you do your duty as a sacrifice. That it defeats Arjuna's argument. Arjuna's argument was, I will go to hell. But here it tells Arjuna, no, you will go to the heavenly planets. The Kshatriya's duty is to protect the citizens, and therefore he must use some violence for maintaining law and order. See some quotes here. Yeah. So Krishna says to Arjuna, there are many things beyond the worldly concept of life, but if you are still thinking that you are in the worldly concept of life, then as a Kshatriya, it's your duty to fight. Krishna is putting Arjuna in a dilemma. This way or that way, you have to fight. If you think that you are not in the worldly concept of life, then this is my order, you must fight. If you think you are in the worldly concept of life, then you are a Kshatriya. You must fight. Either way, you have to fight. That is Krishna's conclusion. There are some people who are just know a bit from Bhagavad Gita, don't understand it very deeply. They say that Krishna's only purpose is to get Arjuna to fight. Therefore he's telling all these things. But there is a deeper sense. He's telling Arjuna how to fight in higher consciousness and avoid the material level of consciousness. Krishna says that you are a Kshatriya, it's your duty to fight. Dharmyadi Yudat. I've arranged in this fight on the battle of Kurukshetra, it is sanctioned by me. It is Dharma Yuddha. It is religious fighting. This is not for the political diplomats declaring war to keep the people in ignorance. When they cannot manage things properly, they engage people in war to divide their attention, to divert their attention. But war is not meant for that purpose. War is permitted when people are not being properly trained by the king of the state, and another king may attack him. In an ideal state, the king must be very responsible. There are many instances. Yudhishthira Maharaj was a pious king. In Bengali, there is a proverb, if the king is not pious, then the whole kingdom is spoiled. Similarly, if the housewife is not good, the whole family is spoiled. Everyone has experience of this. So kings must be very honest, pious, religious. Therefore, they are called Rajas. That is 33. If, however, you do not perform your religious duty of fighting, then you will certainly incur sins for neglecting your duties, and thus lose your reputation as a fighter. That's 33. Yeah. Arjuna was a famous fighter, even among the demigods in the Bhagavad Gita. So Krishna says, if you are not fighting, you will incur sin, you will get reactions. because you are not doing your duty. And you will lose your reputation. So Krishna is, because Arjuna before said, if I fight, I will go incur sin, I will go to hell. Krishna turns it in the other way. He says, if you are not doing your duty, you go to hell. It's by withdrawing from the battle, you will go to hell, it says. Yeah. It was in 136 in the first chapter, where Arjuna used the argument that he will incur sin. Right. Good, text 34. People will always speak of your infamy, and for a respectful person, dishonor is worse than death. Your enemies will describe you in many unkind words and scorn your ability. What could be more painful for you? O son of Kunti, either you will be killed on the battlefield and attain the heavenly planets, or you will conquer and enjoy the earthly kingdom. Therefore get up and fight with determination. Now this is related to the mood of a Kshatriya. This spirit of Kshatriya was prevalent even around 300 years ago in India. There was a king, Yasomanta Sena. There was the commander-in-chief of Emperor Aurangzeb. In one battle he was defeated and came back to his home. His wife heard that her husband had been defeated and was coming home. She told the caretaker to close the door of the palace. When Yasomanta Sena came there, he saw his palace door closed. He sent a messenger to the queen asking, why you have closed the door? I have come home. So the messenger informed the queen. The king has come and is asking, you open the door. The queen replied, who is the king? Yasomanta Sena cannot come here having been defeated. Yasomanta Sena either wins the battle or he lays down his body there dead. So the man who has come must be a pretender. He's not King Yasomanta Sena. He refused to open the door, and that is the Kshatriya spirit. So Arjuna's position is very precarious. There is a Bengali proverb. There was a famous dancing girl. Now those ladies had a veil called Guntana in Indian language. So when this dancing girl was on the stage, she noticed that many of her relatives were in the audience. So she began to draw her veil. This is correct for a dancing girl. She is there to dance. She should not appear to be shy and must freely dance according to her duties. So a rascal kills a man and makes the excuse that killing is not sinful because in the Bhagavad Gita it is advocated. Apparently, to rascals it appears that Krishna is encouraging Arjuna to fight. Here you have it. And he says it is not sinful. But the rascal does not see his sinful position. By the Svadharma principle, it is a Kshatriya's duty to fight and to kill in the fight. If you are fighting and become sympathetic, then it's like the dancing girl who, when on the stage, appears to be shy. Why should she be shy? She should dance freely, and that will give her credit. So on the battlefield, you cannot be compassionate. That is not required. There is another perspective which Srila Prabhupada explains in a lecture in London 1973. This is Brahma Bhuta. Brahma Bhuta Prashanatmana Shrishtina Kanchati. A devotee is always Prashanatma because his happiness is to serve Krishna. His only business is to see Krishna happy, that's all. That is devotion. There may be loss or gain, there may be victory or defeat, there may be distress or happiness, it doesn't matter. He's not affected with this duality. This is Krishna's teachings. This will be taught in different languages up to the end of the Bhagavad Gita. Mam ekam saranam braja samsiddhir haritoshnam. Bhagavad also confirms this. You do not consider whether it is loss or gain, but you have to see Krishna is satisfied. Haritoshnam. The real perfection of life is whether your service, Krishna is satisfied. That is perfection. You don't consider your personal victory or defeat, loss or gain, distress or happiness. So, yeah, at the end of this section, that's at the end of this section, Krishna instructs Arjuna, you should fight without consideration of happiness and distress. And then you don't incur sin. And that opens the connection with the next section, where Krishna is going to start to explain Buddhi Yoga, how to act out of duty without being attached to the results. That's the basis from where we can attain Krishna consciousness. That acting without being attached to happiness and distress, victory or defeat is the Brahma Bhuta platform, where we get peace, because we are not disturbed anymore by happiness and distress. It's not yet the spiritual, it's not yet the platform of self-realization. That comes when we start to act for the pleasure of Krishna. That's Buddhi Yoga in its perfection is Krishna consciousness. Because it's not easy to act without motivation. We have always this motivation in our life. But it becomes easy to get rid of that motivation if we act for the pleasure of Krishna. That's for next time. Are there any questions? That's, yes?
As per the purport, verses sloka 20.
20?
Purport.
220.
220. Atma's shouts are of two types.
So that 20 is a personal charity and which is right? 20?
220 purport.
Yeah, and where in the
Souls are of two types. Atomic soul and super soul.
Yeah, right.
Again in that it is written that Lord Krishna is a fountainhead of super soul.
The soul.
No, my question is,
yeah.
Lord Krishna is fountainhead of super soul. So how can we differentiate between super soul and Krishna?
It's fountainhead. This will be clarified in 15.7. I would not say fountainhead. It's the fountainhead of all incarnations. That's another thing. But fountainhead, that's not in the purport of Prabhupada. That super soul and the soul are different. In the 15th chapter, 15.7, Krishna says, Mamaitam Sochi Vedake Shiva Uta Sanatana. The soul is my eternal, separate part and parcel. So it's part of Krishna, because Krishna is the whole. But it's separate at the same time. But although it is separate, it's a part and parcel of Krishna. And when the soul comes to the material world, Krishna accompanies the spirit soul and takes place in the heart of the spirit soul, in the atomic soul within. He's there. And that's a super soul. And in the material world, we are connected always. But now the spirit soul is want to forget that connection, and he turns away from, and he forgets Krishna, and he wants to enjoy by his desire. Although Krishna is in his heart, but it's like it's in the heart of the super soul. That's a devotee is described in the Bhagavatam. He thinks, Krishna says in a verse in the Bhagavatam, my devotee thinks always of me in his heart. And we will learn in the sixth chapter of the Bhagavad Gita that the purpose of yoga, Astanga yoga, or dhyana yoga, yoga of meditation, is to find Krishna in the heart. That's the end of this yoga. Krishna says, yoginam abhisarvanam madhinam ratnam shadavam vajdegamam same yuktatamemata. No, it's yoginam abhisarvanam madhinam ratnam shadavam vajdegamam same yuktatamemata. So the highest yogi is one who is united in love with me within the heart. So that's the highest yogi. It's the goal of yoga is finally to find Krishna in the heart. But yogis are mostly bewildered. They want mystic power. But that's not the goal of yoga. That's a byproduct. But the real yogi, the devotee, does not want that. But we will learn also that this process of Astanga yoga, to find Krishna in the heart, this is not for the devotees. Devotees, because devotees do not need to find Krishna in the heart. They accept that from Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is in the heart. We start acting for the pleasure of Krishna, and by that we are acting on the spiritual platform, where the yogi comes to realize it is in our heart. But what do you do then? Nice. But then one has to come to the platform of self-realization. Self-realization is that the soul is active by nature, and its original nature is to act for the pleasure of Krishna. For the pleasure of Krishna means not only pleasing Krishna, but pleasing Krishna means also pleasing all living entities. Because Krishna is in all their hearts. Because Krishna is at the same time is a person, transcendental person, and is all pervading at the same time. We cannot understand that with our intelligence. Krishna will tell that in 9.4 and 9.5 of the Bhagavad Gita. You cannot understand that. You can only understand me. You will only be able to understand me on the spiritual platform when you have developed unalloyed devotion. And we will learn the process to understand that. 11.54, Krishna says to Arjuna, where he explains the universal form, and that you can understand me as I'm standing before you, only by undivided devotional service. Undivided pure devotional service. At 11.54. In 11.54 in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says, one cannot even begin to understand Krishna when one does not take shelter of a bona fide spiritual master in the Guru Parampara. And that's explained in the 4th chapter, how to get that knowledge to understand the super soul. Dat Vinipaniparna Parikrishna Nasivya Prediction Devanam Karma Stat Production. That's the method, approaching a spiritual master. Submissively serve him, serve him, serve his instructions. It's a whole process. We will get to that in the next chapter. But it's not easy to understand this. Only the devotees understand that. In personally, I'm completely bewildered about it. But we will continue with the study of Bhagavad Gita, and we will come to many verses where we will defeat us in personalism, because it's contrary to the spirit of the Bhagavad Gita completely. That it may go along with some of the Upanishads, but not with Bhagavad Gita. That's main arguments, a few arguments are Bhagavad Gita 7:7, where Krishna says, there is no truth superior to me. And 14:27, Brahmani Pratishthanam, I'm the basis of the impersonal Brahman. Anyway, that we will address that in detail. But it's, especially in the 13th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, the super soul is explained, the difference between the soul. Because in the 13th chapter, Krishna says, there are two kshetras jnas. Kshetra jna, the knower of the body. There are two knowers of the body. It's explained there. And that's the soul and the super soul. And the difference between the soul and the super soul is explained in the 13th chapter in detail. We'll come to that. Hope that helps. Something else? Yes,
in the Bhagavad Gita, which Krishna is speaking the Bhagavad Gita? Because you said there's avatars, there's expansions, then you got different kinds of like Vishnus. Krishna's to Bhagavan Spam. Echams Kalapa Nishan Krishna's to Bhagavan Spam. Krishna is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he has innumerable expansions. So Krishna is the fountainhead of all incarnations. So it's Krishna himself who is speaking, not his incarnations. But there are Lord Chaitanya is Krishna himself. That's another thing. So it's the Supreme Person. Srila Prabhupada refers to Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But Krishna tells us in Bhagavad Gita, there is no truth superior to me. I'm Sarvasya Prabhupada. I'm the source of all creation, of everything. He's the original personality of God. So our next lesson will be on the 26th of May. So there are, in the next 2 weeks, because I'm going for preaching to Ireland and to Belgium for a few days. What you can do in the meantime, I've sent you all the titles for the SS type. Now, you can look at them, and for each section you have to choose a title. It's explained. You choose a title and try to find arguments from the chapters we went through already. Arguments, and note down the arguments. Just do that, because that will. I've also asked you or suggested to keep a folio with these 16 themes, you remember? And you will see if you have done that, that will be very helpful for these SS already. So, and you can continue doing that, putting the arguments, because I think in the 9th of June, or 8th, it's the second Sunday of June, we will have a special session on essay writing. And if you have already your arguments, that will help you. I will explain how to develop it, and because you have the arguments, you have analogies, you have done the objectives of your essay, how to combine everything and put it in a structure so that you can easily write the essay. That would be nice if you can do that. So otherwise I'm looking forward to see you in 2 weeks. Bhagavad Gita.